as I'm looking at this game collectively, you can't even be mad about it because it's a simple strength is that the officials, I called it first, man, during the first quarter, the official seems like they had a bone to pick with somebody, and it just seems like it was one of those games whereas anything you try to do right, they'll call. I saw whereas even Chaz Green, he did a good block. He had his hands to the inside, and they still called holding. So he can't help whereas the opposition pushed him so far past the quarterback. Hey, that was on the opposition. That's nothing to do with the with his skill set, but he had one hell of a game. I'm talking about bad, But it's one of those things, man. It just seemed like they had a bone or axe to grind, and the officiating had their hands too much in the mix. Then, of course, you're talking about a team whereas you're missing your starting left tackle, you're missing your starting running back, and then you're missing your damn kicker. So all those pieces put together, you get a horrible game like this. And then you got two gimpy receivers. And of course, Dez balled out for the first quarter, what have you. But it just seems like one of those things whereas it was a horrible game. Yeah, Chaz Green sucked. We know that. We absolutely know that. Hell, he got beat out by number 64 trying to play guard. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. I would say maybe kick him out to the right tackle and put Lyle Collins on the left side, because it's just horrible for to have a guy to come out and have 6+ sacks or whatever. Claiborne guys going to the Hall of Fame after this game. It's just one of those things, man. Shout out to y'all that's in the chat box. Cowboys 60, Carlos, you too as well, Brian, Bradford, Belly. Shout out to you guys, man. Jason Garrett, clap. Shout out to you too as well. And King Quad, Hey, man, it's one of those things, man. This game looks like we fell on our face. I can't wait to talk to my guy, Unintentional Grounding. I know he's got to be livid. He got to be hyped. He got to be excited about his team. But the Atlanta Falcons got a hard up the hill battle to climb too as well, because the Saints are winning too. So it's one of those things. Ron Smith, salute, and Salzar, salute to you too as well. Hey, man, it is one of those things. Somebody said rise up, 808 border. Shout out to you too as well, man. It's just one of those things, guys. The NFL versus the Cowboys. I don't like the antics. The NFL versus Law Nations, the YouTube channel. I can't stand this stuff. All of the copyright stuff. It's just so many things. Whereas I just wish that we can go back 5 years, right? Whereas everything wasn't so PC friendly and everything just you just watch the damn football game and be honest and be done with it. But all these other stuff, that the additives that they add, to me personally, I wish Roger Goodell just go bye. But it's one of those things, man. Are we a Super Bowl caliber team without Sean Lee? No, because Sean Lee is everything to the defense, man. If Sean Lee is not playing, I mean, it's proof in the pudding. See, the problem is, as I'm looking at the team, it's just that we are so young in the secondary, right? And we experienced enough just to get by when Sean Lee is there, as far as the front four. But with how Sean Lee putting the troops into to the right places on the field, then you're gonna have missed assignments, wrong angles, wrong audibles, wrong play calls, wrong call outs and stuff like that. It's just one of those things, man. Sean Lee is the defensive player of the year for the Cowboys, regardless of what D Law is doing, regardless of what David Irvin is doing out there. And defense, man, good Lord, the defense looked good on the first quarter. Man, they look good. It's just that we had these injuries to come about, and it just poo-pooed over everything. It's just so silly for us to have these nagging little injuries. I knew they was coming, and we just can't go unscathed a whole year without injuries. Everybody else facing the injuries. The Eagles have their injuries, and I don't see them crying. They figure out a way to win, but it's just one of those things. We got hit with a buzzsaw. It seems like the refs had an axe to grind. And it's just one of those things. I saw 2 plays. It was actually 3 plays collectively that Dak Prescott got hit across the helmet, hands to the face. The rule states that anytime you hit a quarterback in the head, there should be a flag regardless of the scenario. They didn't. They swallowed their whistles. They swallowed the flags, or however you want to call it. They had arthritis in the wrist. They didn't want to pull out the flag. It's just one of those things. Whereas I'm sitting here looking, go to my Facebook page, go to the Instagram page, and you'll see I posted the video. I would post it to YouTube, but YouTube police. But go to my vid.me page, and you'll see where Dak Prescott literally got hit across the face. No flag. Not even the commentator said, hey, that's a blow to the helmet, But it's one of those things where the officiating was just poorly did, out there on the play. It just seemed like they had okay, if we win in Atlanta, if we call the team to win in Atlanta, we get extra bonuses or something. We got a Mercedes-Benz car waiting for us. It seems just like that. And I'm not trying to point fingers and stuff like that to reason why we played so poorly, but it clearly is to see. And this running back situation, either we got to figure out something. It's kind of like a kid collecting too much candy or too many candies out there and not knowing which one to eat. Either you're going to go with Morris, or you're going to go with Rod Smith, or you're going to go with Darren McFadden. To me personally, I would rather start Rod Smith and then have Darren McFadden, and Morris will be the last guy on the list. Although Morris did show some bursts, some speeds out there, but it's just not one of those things where he's so stiff when he runs, and he's got to be that type of guy to me to come in just for a spell back. I don't see him as a future back. That's why Washington got rid of him for dirt cheap, But this team is just looking like the staff is. I'm not going back and saying where the staff need to be ridiculed and criticized on, because we just won 3 games in a row, so we was closer and closer to a loss anyhow. But this staff need to figure out something to deal with this Ezekiel Elliott situation. Who's going to be the spell back? Who's going to step up for Tyron, Crawford, not Tyron Crawford, but for Tyron Smith, how do you call his name? Big number. Man, it's just one of those things. I digress, man. I just can't even think right now. It's one of those losses where you say to yourself, okay, we lost, but it wasn't like a fair loss, It's one of those things, man. And Dak running for his life, he had a little feeling of, that's how Tony Romo had to play all those years before he got a solid left tackle. Running for his life, man. And it's just crazy. This is from Hunter West, laughing my A off. If you are blaming them on Dak, then you are SMD, whatever that means. Well, it is what it is. K Maverick, baby. If Green starting, we lost points blank, blah, 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 face. Yeah, it's one of those things. Darren got 1 carry. Wow, it's one of those things, guys. But we'll see. Tyron is the all-line. Yeah, Tyron is the all-line. Dak never stood a chance with Green. Yeah, Green made Claiborne look like the second coming of Reggie White. Dak was getting the those who Romo had to deal with most of his career. And that's from Belly. Yeah, man, he was running for his life, man. He had to figure out how can I just find a breathing room. It seems like number 64 and 79 said, okay, you get in all the shine, I'm going to figure out a way so you can be on your backside, But it's one of those things. It's one of those games, garbage game, horrible game to look at, to watch on your TV. Good thing I invited everybody over, because I'd have been like, hey, let's do something else, But the season is not over, King Quad. It's just one of those things. We just got to bounce back. It's still early in the season, the famous Bill Parcells used to say, you can't judge a team until after Thanksgiving, right? So although it's November, we got a little ways to go for us to start mailing it in. But it's just one of those things.
Oh, he didn't have enough to put the game on his shoulders. You can't win like this. I don't care. Listen, I get it. You can't win like this.
What would Tony have done tonight in his prime?
Died.
Prime Tony?
Died. He did understand. Like, there's nothing you can do.
Cool.
There's nothing you can do when you have guys coming off the edge, willy-nilly just tagging you left and right and left. I mean, he was sacked 8 times tonight. Yeah. There's nothing you can do when you're sacked 8 times tonight, and you were the second leading rusher.
Yeah.
Dak was the second leading rusher with 42 yards, and a lot of that came in the action of it. Alfred Morris came in almost in garbage time. There's nothing you can do.
One of the few times they were stringing together consecutive first downs was with him running.
Yeah.
And over the course of 3 plays, and he actually became physically exhausted.
That was funny.
That must have been late in the first half. Yeah. You know,
funny.
3 runs in a row, having to run back to the line of scrimmage. He was 6 carries, 42 yards, but passing 20 of 30 for 176, sacked the 8 times for 50 yards. Surprising he did not have an interception. He could have a couple of times. Alfred Morris in the running game, 11 carries for 53 yards, 4.8 per carry. You know, the per carry numbers aren't going to look horrifying. They got something going a little bit there to start off the second half. It looked like they wanted to try to recommit to the running game and see if they could get back to playing Cowboys football, but it just doesn't last long when you have 3rd and long after 3rd and long after 3rd and long. And looking forward now, if Tyron's got to be out and Zeke's going to be out, you know, what is an offense that works? Because this Atlanta defense isn't good. You know, this Atlanta defense, teams have been running against them. Teams have been scoring against them. And next week against Philadelphia, you're going to face a much significantly more a tough task when it comes to not only their defense, but their offense as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, 5-4 now, smarting from a very tough defeat. Philadelphia coming in next week. Maybe you slide back to 500 and you'll be sort of licking your wounds and hoping the next 4 games on the schedule against Giants, Redskins, Chargers, Raiders gives you an opportunity, you know, to face up against some teams that aren't as toothy as Atlanta was today and Philadelphia is going to be next week. But we really need this to be a game that the Cowboys laid an egg and Atlanta had everything go great on top of the injuries. Because tonight was brutal. Yeah. You know, absolutely nothing was working. And we need this configuration of personnel available to at least be able to go out and play somewhat close to average football, because that's what's coming up in those next 4 games without Zeke. Average football has to be capable with this group, and after tonight's game and then the 2 games they played without Sean Lee earlier, I don't know if that's the case. I think the injuries and suspension might have hit a tipping point this week and sent them from being one of the best teams in the NFL to one of the worst, Jesse.
No, you're absolutely right. And it looks to be that way when you see what's coming up, down the pike, is that you have this Philadelphia team coming up and you're saying, all right, where do we find relief? Where do we find help at?
Okay, let's go out to Atlanta and hear from Jason Garrett.
Jason, you couldn't get the offense going there. Pressure just sort of seemed to ruin whatever game plan you might have had.
Yeah, that was the big issue in the game. I thought we got behind the chains too much. A couple of penalties hurt us on some of those drives in the second quarter that got us into some 1st and 20 situations, and kind of destroyed our opportunity to keep the balance that we want alive. I thought at different times in the game we did run the ball well. I thought Alfred did a good job with the opportunities that he got. When we got in those passing situations, we couldn't slow them down, and they put heat on the quarterback all day long. And unfortunately, we weren't able to maintain any efficiency on offense to keep drives alive.
Coach, I guess dealing with Chaz, when you signed him, since he was kind of having problems with Claiborne, did you think about maybe getting him some help on the side?
Yeah, we tried to on a lot of the passes that we had, whether it was being in a left formation or having a back be over there to try to chip on the way out. There were some situations where when we're throwing it quicker, the ball was supposed to come out quicker, and he didn't have help. But overall, we just didn't protect well enough, and they put too much pressure on Dak, and we weren't as efficient as we needed to be really throughout throwing the football.
Yes, indeed. I don't know if he went away, but it's one of those things, man. When you talking about blaming Dak for this game, you didn't watch the game. He was running for his life. Yeah, the officials had everything to do with this.
Well, the next guy has to get in there. He has to be ready to play, and you have to be ready on a moment's notice. Next man up philosophy is alive and well. So that's your job. That's your responsibility as a member of this football team and as a pro football player to be ready to go play. And, we didn't handle the adversity of the day very well, and we have to do a better job of that going forward. Yeah, he just battled. He battled the whole game. Obviously, it wasn't a comfortable environment to play in. Certainly, once we got behind and we had to throw the ball, they were pressuring him pretty good. But I just thought he stood in there. He made some plays with his feet, made some plays with his arm. He just battles and plays the right way.
You talk about Chaz Green's day and Claiborne had a big day, and why did you not give him any help at any point to make the game simple?
Yeah, we tried to give him some help. We were in some left formations, and we had the back over there on a few different occasions. We didn't give him help on every play, and some of the plays where we didn't give him help, that's typically when their defensive lineman got home, and that was a big story in this ball game. And again, we weren't able to be as efficient as we needed to be throwing the ball as a result of it.
How much did that take out of your playbook? I mean, when you're that consistent and persistent over the course of the game?
Yeah, well, certainly protecting the quarterback is where it all starts in the passing game. And if you don't do that very well, you're going to have a hard time, moving the ball through the air. And it really doesn't matter what's going on down the field. You have to protect first. And we didn't do as good a job as we typically do in that area. And we certainly have to look at it and find ways to get better.
Sean Lee's lost too. Can you talk about the hamstring injury and just the difficulty you had stopping the run after?
Yeah, obviously he's a really good football player, and when he's in there, he makes a huge impact on our team. He makes a lot of plays, and he does a great job leading the defense. And whenever he's out, there's a void. But again, next man up philosophy. The next guy's got to go in there, and the rest of the linebacker core has to step up and keep playing. And at times, I think we probably did some good things today. Other times, certainly not up to our standard.
It seemed like the offense lost a little of their momentum after the fake punt got called back. After that, it seemed like you struggled. Did you feel like that had an effect on maybe the psychology of the team?
Well, I sure hope not. Those things happen during a ball game, and it would have been a good opportunity for us there to keep that drive alive. But hey, you put that play behind you and you go to the next one. And you only get so many opportunities in a game, so many drives, so many possessions, and then so many plays. So you have to play the play, and then you have to move on to the next one, regardless of what that result is.
You talked about Dak earlier. Do you feel it's difficult to get anything going in the passing game just because of the pressure and they took the run away from you early?
Yeah, it was a challenge. I do think we had a couple good drives early on in the game, and we did have good balance. He made some good throws, but as the game wore on, the pressure became more of an issue for us. I do think we did a good job coming out in the second half and running the football. Alfred had some good runs. We quieted the game down a little bit, but just couldn't do it on a consistent enough basis. Once we got down in the red zone, bogged down a little bit, missed the field goal. That was an opportunity for us to stay in the ball game. But then they just kept coming. They kept taking advantage of their opportunities, and we couldn't slow them down. Just a combination of the two.
And so you're always next man up, and you don't make excuses. But no Elliott, no Tyron Smith, no Sean Lee. Is that fair to say that wore on you as the game wore along?
Well, obviously they're really good players, and they've been good players for us, but there are no excuses, there are no explanations. The next guy's got to go in there and play, and got to play up to standard, and we didn't handle the adversities of the days well enough.
Is that about how you thought you'd use the backs? I mean, maybe with more success, but in terms of the order and how you use them?
We did anticipate Alfred playing the most on first and second down and handing him the ball. Rod was going to play more situationally on third down and short yardage and goal line, and then spot play. And then we're going to look for opportunities to get Darren in the ball game. We didn't have as many plays as we'd like to have offensively, so some of those opportunities got a little more limited.
What were you and Scandrick talking about as you went off the field today? Did he come up to you and you have a conversation with Scandrick as you were going off?
At the end of the ball game? Yeah, we just had a visit. I don't want to share that with anybody.
Did you think about doing things earlier to give some help at left tackle, or was there not much you could do to help Chaz?
Yeah, that was part of the plan. We're going to be in some left formations. We're going to have the back be over there in some of our protections and chip, and then we're going to try to get the ball out quickly. And protections where, we did get everybody out. The idea is to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands and beat the rush. And obviously we didn't do a good enough job protecting. We weren't efficient enough throwing the football throughout the game. It had a big impact on the game.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Okay, thank you, Jason. There is Jason Garrett as the Cowboys fall 27-7 in Atlanta. Got behind the chains too much. Penalties hurt us. It was pretty unfortunate. The Cowboys' offensive line setting them behind the 8 ball. I mean, there was an opportunity in the first half where they could have built a lead and then hoped to hang on as they were kind of inept in the second half. But, by the time we looked at the second half, we knew, Atlanta was going to be in control no matter how that first 25 or 30 minutes of game time went. But still, the point is penalties hurt them. They are the most penalized offensive line when it comes to holding in all of the NFL. And we're at 28 quarters without a holding call against the other team. Did run the ball well at times, said Jason Garrett. There's something to build off there, a little bit of optimism if you want. But in passing situations, they just kept bringing the heat to such an extent that whether it was 1st and 20 or 3rd and 8, it became very difficult to operate for the Cowboys. Orlando Scandrick upset with Jason Garrett. You heard him talking about that, saying, we just had a visit. I don't want to share that with anybody, what it was about. With about 30 seconds to go, Orlando coming off the field, he got in Jason's face and wanted a message to him, and Jason tried to sidestep him a couple of times and pay attention to what was going on the field. We probably won't ever know exactly what was being had there. Orlando Scandrick not too forthcoming either.
No, neither one of them. Those guys are vaults when it comes to stuff like that. They're not going to talk to us.
What kind of stuff sets off Orlando, though? You played with him.
Anything.
Okay,
anything.
Hard to guess.
Yeah, with Orlando, it could be anything. And again, this type of game, there's enough frustration to go around from everybody. Personally, team, position, side of the ball. There's enough frustration to go around for Orlando to come off the field and complain about something.
If he's got an idea, I'm sure a lot of people would want to hear it. You know, how do we stop them from going up and down the field again and again and again once Sean Lee is out? This segment of the postgame show brought to you by WinStar World Casino and Resort, home to over 7,000 of your favorite electronic games, more than 1,000 table game seats, 1,500 luxury hotel rooms, 27 championship golf holes, and the 3,500-seat Global Event Center. WinStar World Casino and Resort. You're going to need to stay a little bit longer. Gavin Dawson and Jesse Hawley, and we're about to take your phone calls. No lines are open. They're juiced right now, so wait until one becomes available, and then you can try to call in. But we want your thoughts on a brutal Cowboys defeat in Atlanta. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Yes, indeed. So it's one of those things. I don't know what Orlando Scandrick did or didn't do or what happened at the end of the game. I had to go away and just go ahead and eat my food because it was just one of those things where we was getting routed anyway. But, we will never know what Orlando Scandrick said to Jason Garrett, and Jason Garrett would never let the cat out of the hat too as well. Seeing the comments in the box where there's people saying fire Jason Garrett, fire him, fire this and fire that. At the same point, who would you want to coach the Cowboys? Who you think is going to deal with Jason Garrett, not Jason Garrett, but Jerry Jones? Who you think is going to deal with all of the BS and the craziness stuff that goes on with the coaching staff beyond Jason Garrett? So who's going to be willing to do that? Looking at the trends of everything, when Jerry Jones fire a coach, he normally promotes one within the staff. So now you will have either Rob Marinelli or Scott Lenihan, or how you say his name. So it's one of those things where it'll be probably more of the same until you get like a different owner who will want different, have his hands out of it, and we don't that's not going to happen anytime soon. That's just one of the things there, But it is what it is, guys. It's one of those things where we lose and everybody's frustrated at somebody, But Scott can't coach, right? Carlos, salute to you, Bailey, too, as well, And Tony Romo is head coach, This is from Renee, I think, Collier. Now you're talking about another rookie coach, So at this point, Gruden, people putting Gruden out there. I think Gruden is loyal to his brother, so I don't think he will be in the same division of his brother. And why leave a $5 million guaranteed job, you know, because ESPN needs him more than he would need to be a coach to be maybe not Jason, keep on calling Jerry Jones Jason, but maybe Jerry can pay him $6 million. That's only $1 million more. Now you're talking about uprooting your family, leaving everybody, moving to Dallas. I mean, Jay Gruden is not going to do that, you know. If I had a plush job like that, I'd just sit back and call plays, you know, especially at ESPN, you know. So he's not going to do none of that stuff, guys. Gruden will not leave. And then what makes Gruden great, you know? Yeah, he won a Super Bowl, but contrary to popular belief, that was Tony Dungy's team that he set up and organized, you know. So, you know, Gruden was horrible those last few years. People fail to realize that. People chase ghosts, you know. But if I was a betting man, I would lean on Jimmy Johnson, you know, if he wanted to come back to coach, and that's far-fetching. Or a Jim Harbaugh, you know, but that's wishful thinking. But we just have to ride the horse we rode in on, and that's Jason Garrett, you know. This is not a popular pick, but you know, the young kids are getting lucky these days, like the LA Rams guy, you know, that head coach there, he's doing pretty good this year, but it could be a process of him playing with those easy schedules. So we'll know next year, you know. He might be hitting everybody up by surprise. And then think about this too as well, the other rookie coach, 49ers coach, you know. Do you guys really want to live through a 1-9 or 0-9 season? It's just one of those things. Which one you're going to pick your poison? Either you're going to live through the growing pains of Jason Garrett, the clapper, or you're going to just go ahead and say, hey, you know, let's start over with someone else. And 9 times out of 10, this fan base here, majority of the ones that was like bandwagon, the fickle fans, you know, the ones that saying, hey, Romo was out there, you know, Romo would have, you know, won this game. He squeezed one out, you know. There's no way in life, there's no way on this planet or even the following planets that Romo could take those hits, especially coming off the blind side. You know, as much as we love Romo, he's not the physical shaped guy, you know. And he's cerebral, he's smart, intelligent, but without a starting running back, missing a sure kicker, and missing this left tackle, without Sean Lee, this game would have been a disaster. This would have been like a 5 or 6 interception game. Real talk, you know. That's all I have to say on that, you know.
Back? Does he rush himself back and further injure it?
I wouldn't be rushing. Long? No, you know what? I hate to use these kind of words, but I'd be willing to sacrifice the Philly game if I felt like, man, if we give him another week and we can get him back, I don't want him rushing back to play in the Philly game.
But is 2 weeks enough? That's my question. And we don't know what type of grade or what type of strain it is. So is 2 weeks enough for him to come back and be at least 85% Tyron Smith?
Yeah.
You know, is it 3 weeks? I mean, Dan Bailey's been out with a groin injury for he'll be out for a month and a half. And all he does is kick. So just imagine the pressure of a 330-pound guy pushing off that leg and stretching, you know, that the legs apart in that motion that he does every down.
Man, that's super realistic that he could be out another 4 games. And if you don't have Zeke for those 4 games, let's say Sean Lee does come back, but you don't have Tyron and Zeke. Can the offensive line play better than they did today?
Yes. Listen, if there's any silver lining, you know, light at the end of the tunnel, they can't play this bad. They can't give up 7 sacks, you know, from one guy. So I think they can fix it in the sense of now just go ahead and commit to it. Say, you know what? We got to go ahead and commit and put a tight end there or a running back there all the time.
Game plan.
Yeah. You're going to get better in that aspect of it.
It was easier last year, though, because, okay, Tyron's out. We still have Doug Free over there, who was still amazing in pass blocking. He wasn't the best, you know, road grading right tackle in the run game or anything. But, I mean, it's compounding upon itself, and we just need them to be able to be respectable once Tyron gets back, and that's if he does. Those groins can be 4 to 6 weeks, like Jesse's saying, quite easily. Here's Chip in New Mexico. What you thinking about, Chip?
Hey guys, I know a lot of people are going to call in tonight. They're gonna trash Chaz Green. He got exposed. Blah blah blah. But in my opinion, who got exposed tonight is this Cowboys coaching staff. You lose one linebacker and you lose a tackle on offense, and this coaching staff doesn't have the ability to stop the bleeding, adjust, or do anything. And without Sean Lee in there, this defense, the back seven, is an embarrassment to the NFL.
Appreciate it. They are struggling back there. I mean, but big picture, they've played great when healthy. NFL. They've kept a lot of good teams under 20 last week against Kansas City. I don't know. It's a good one. But we're talking about 2 All-Pros. Really, 3 All-Pros being out.
Yeah.
Come on, man. There's a limit to what the coaching staff can do. You need smart athletes who are aggressive and brilliant to do well at this level, and you can't just put in athletes without the football IQ and expect them to read and react and do everything similar. I think that's disrespectful to how tough it is to be awesome at this sport.
I think the coach's game plan, they didn't know Charlie was going to go out with a hamstring injury, right? He practiced all week. He was healthy, ready to go. So that wasn't something that they can prepare for, because if they knew, they would have had different guys up, more linebackers available, so on and so forth. So I think that Sean Lee was just a freak incident that happened in the game that you had to, when you don't have Sean Lee, it's hard to adjust, because the next thing that you have is Jalen Smith, and we've seen what that is.
Yeah. You had to play Jalen Smith for 3 quarters.
All week long, from what I'm hearing, that Chaz Smith had a good week in practice. Chaz Green had a good week in practice all week.
Yeah.
So there was no concerns about that, and I think they adjusted for the lapse of Zeke Elliott. I didn't think the only blame that I truly give the coaches, and I don't give them the totality of what happened today. The one blame that I do give them, and I agree with Chip, was they didn't stop the bleeding at left tackle. They didn't do enough to say, you know what, we have to go ahead and just sell out and commit to saying Jason Witten or Swain or whoever, whatever you want, tight end, but just go to the left and stay there. And we're going to call everything according to that type of formation. That's the blame that I do give the coaches, because that right there is in your right. That right there is in your wheelhouse. That right there, you're in 100 complete control of how you call things. And
that's really like 2 tight ends and 2 fullbacks and Dez.
Well, then you have to go with that. Then, like you have to go at least with a tight end to that side, at least chipping, and then releasing. But that part, the left tackle issue, that's a coaching issue. It's a player issue because Chaz Green got whooped. But it's a coaching issue because you gave him no help, and you lined him up repeatedly one-on-one with anybody over there at that position.
Yeah, that was brutal. To me, like when it's overwhelmingly the players on the field instead of the coaches, like a 27-24 loss with that happening, and you had 4 sacks that happened to be on crucial 3rd downs where they didn't send the guy over, but at some point the ineptitude of the actual athlete sort of prevents the coaches. What are you going to do? You're going to take out Chaz and put in Ben? It's just the options aren't there. Is this Cincinnati on line 3? Is that the name? Cincinnati and Lancaster. You're on the Cowboys postgame show. Go ahead.
Jerry Jones need to go to the locker room and fire all his coaches, because it don't make no sense for not to put a tight end over there or a running back over there to help that boy. That boy was getting beat all night long. And then I want to ask a question. Now, I ain't got nothing against the man. I love him. He a great dude. Where is our number 1 receiver at? Do we have a number 1 receiver? Do he catch anything? Do he get open? Do he do anything to help the offense?
He catches it about half the time they throw it to him. We're, of course, talking about Dez Bryant tonight, 4 catches for 39 yards. Jason Witten was the top guy in the passing game. He had 7 catches for 59 yards. It'll be interesting to see what the explanation is, how you would let that go for so long. Like, I can, put the guy over there. You're still not winning. You're still not moving the football. It's going to be really, really difficult on you.
It gives you a better chance, though. It gives you a better chance to matriculate the football down the field. It does.
With who, though? So you're going to double on the right side and the left side, and they have one guy attacking 2 of your blockers. So that means they have how many guys back in the secondary to defend what? Your 1 wide receiver or 2 of them?
What I'm saying, you can. There's a situation where you can have no tight end on the field and go 3 wide receivers and 2 backs. and then now, or have your tight end become now a pseudo fullback and the pro set, and have one go left and one go right as far as help, and still have 3 receivers in the route progression. So there's ways that you can do it where you can still have that there. You eat up your back and your tight end, but it gives you the max pressure on those guys to deliver, the ball outside to 3 wide receivers.
Line 4 is Mike in Dallas. You're on the Cowboys postgame show. Mike, what do you think? You there, Mike? All right, let's jump down.
Mike, you are a ghost like Chaz.
Scott in Jersey, you're on the Cowboys postgame show. What do you think?
Hey, guys, thanks for taking my call. Just a couple things. The guy was wrong. It had nothing to do with the head coach. You know what? We've been talking all week. What's the biggest loss? Tyrone Smith or Elliott? You know what? The biggest loss was obviously Sean Lee. Now, Cowboy Nation's got to calm down because our schedule is very good the next couple weeks. You know what? We lose this game, we're going to win the next 4 or 5 games. I guarantee it, because we have a good schedule and it's easy beatable teams. We just have to beat those
after Philly,
Scott,
right?
You got Philly next week. Did you know that?
After Philly, maybe, but the Eagles are coming in off a bye next Sunday night. That one's going to be tough. He's right after that, though. He's right after that. But, the giving up 27 points wasn't the problem tonight. As bad as it looked without Sean Lee on the field, it was being unable to move the football consistently.
Yeah.
If Dak hadn't been using his legs to the tune of 6 carries for 42 yards, it would be even worse. But to have 107 yards rushing and 126 yards passing, I think 233 yards of total offense is a slightly bigger problem than giving up 27. But shoot, none of it's good right now. None of it's good right now. You have to keep your fingers crossed that they get healthy. Obviously, Zeke's not coming back soon, but it's totally possible that both Lee and Tyron are back next week, and you can imagine, trying to beat Philadelphia in that situation.
I don't think so, though. I think the likelihood of those two coming back, and it's possible. Now, listen, the way we have modern medicine today, it's possible. But I think you have to start looking at the bigger picture. You say if we sacrifice them missing one game and getting completely healthy, then we'll have our opportunity at the end of the year against Philadelphia to kind of right this ship and maybe, that be the one that gets into the playoffs.
And that would be the wise thing to do with that hammy and Sean Lee. Those things can be tricky, which is already very apparent with it becoming a problem again. We'll continue with your phone calls. We're going to pause 10 seconds here for station identification on the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
This is the exclusive home of Dallas Cowboys football. KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas, Fort Worth. Let's go, Cowboys.
Okay, welcome back. It's Gavin Dawson and Jesse Holley as the Cowboys fall in Atlanta 27-7. Line 6 is Fred in Mesquite. What you thinking about tonight, Fred?
Hey, guys. First time caller, long time listener. How y'all doing?
We're good, man. Appreciate you calling.
Let's see. I feel like the game, a pretty hard loss to watch there, but my sentiments are basically the same as other guys. Why didn't we give Chaz Green some help chipping in or double teaming or sending some fullbacks or halfbacks to help pass protect? And I just feel with Sean Lee being out, we need to, in this upcoming draft, we need to find another elite play-making linebacker to groom behind him.
Yeah, it is a really interesting question. Why weren't they sending over more help for the left tackle and Chaz Green? And Coach Jason Garrett will be on the Cowboys flagship tomorrow morning at 8:30 with Sean and RJ on 105 through the Fan locally in Dallas-Fort Worth. You can stream it around the country, but I'm sure his answer will be made into a headline. You'll probably be able to read it on the internet or on your newspapers, because that's a big one right there. To give up 8 sacks, to have Dak Prescott, who after the 7th sack looked like he might have been a little bit woozy. He was slow to get up. That becomes a very significant concern. That opens the line at 877-881-1053. Here's Marcus in Arlington. You're on the Cowboys postgame show. Marcus, what do you think? All right. Line 8, Zach in Waxahachie. How you doing, Zach?
Pretty good. Thanks for taking my call. Real quick, Dan Bailey, we missed on a punted on a long field goal attempt, and we also missed a field goal. But the problem with Chaz Green is that not only was he not pass blocking, but we couldn't really run to his side either. We were forced to run to the right side, and on that one drive we had running the ball, we loaded up on the right side, and Lyle Collins can run block, and that's where we did all of our best running. So we were kind of forced to run to one side, and that he just kind of limited that whole other side of the field. So if you can't run block on the left side and you can't pass block on the left side, I mean that's really a problem.
Yeah. I don't know what else they could have done exactly, but I'm sure we'll get some thoughts here from Dak Prescott here in just a second on the Dallas Cowboys postgame show. They fall 27-7, but okay, let's go out to Atlanta.
High school, college, where you just had to run around
Yeah. I've played football a long time, so I've had games similar to that, and yeah.
It's an obvious question, but how much does that affect your game plan and balance what you want to do when you don't have a clean pocket or really a lot of time to throw?
Yeah, it affects you. Obviously, you don't have the time that you want to throw. You can't attack down the field like you want, but it's hard for me to say it was all the time. Sometimes I got to go back and look at film. Maybe I could have got the ball out faster sometimes, or receivers come open. It was a team deal tonight. It was a team loss. We're all going to take credit in it, and it sucked, but we'll get better from it and use it to motivate us.
How much does it impact you when you're in the pocket and you have a guy that's already getting 3, 4, 5, 6 sacks on you coming from your blind side?
Yeah, I treat each play individually. It could be bad sometimes, I guess, or it could be good, but it's just the way that I like to focus on each and every play, take it one play at a time. Not worried what happened the play before or 5 plays earlier. Just try to stay within that play and do the best I can.
Were they able to tee off a little bit because you didn't get the running game going better early in the game?
I don't know. I've got to look at the full stats, as I said, go back and look at film. Figured out, if we would have got the run game going earlier, would have been better, would have been easier to throw the ball down the field. Who knows? But something that we'll critique and look at going forward.
After you guys got beat pretty bad up in Denver, you guys were able to kind of rebound and go up to Arizona and beat them. Is there anything you can take from the way you guys rebounded like that after a loss like this?
Yeah, we got our asses kicked, and we'll get better from it. And that's what happened in Denver. As you saw, we got better from it, and we'll get better. We'll get better from this one as well. Have I? Yeah, sure. He's doing well. We just shared text messages as friends, not as employers or teammates. Not even talking about football for the most part.
A game like this, does it show you just how great the offensive line has been for you for your career, and what a difference that can make if you don't have what you've had so far in the first year?
One more time.
The great offensive line play that you've had so far in your career, does this today kind of show you the difference, and how much it can affect, obviously, the way you see things and how fast things go?
I've had great offensive line play. Credit to those guys, and I'm not gonna knock them, lose confidence in any of them from one game. And as I said, I'm not gonna put everything on them. I'm gonna go back and look at the film and see what we could have done better as a unit.
I think this is a career high in rushing for you. Did you go in knowing that would be this type of game, or is that more a byproduct of the way it goes?
Yeah, it was more of a byproduct. Most of my runs came from passing plays, so it's not like it was quarterback run every time that I was running it, and was just able to get some yards.
Talk about the sequence there at the end of the half where you're driving a little bit, but you got the sack. Were you trying to step up, throw it away, or did everything just kind of collapse in pretty quick?
I was trying to step up, throw it away, kind of just see better, and then at the same time I got grabbed, and just, I've got to be better with the ball, simple as that.
What's your mindset like in the game when it's 27-7 and pretty much over?
0-0 to me. As I said, I just got to treat each play, each drive individually, just try to go out there, do the best I can for this team, and try to score. That's my mindset, every play, every possession, regardless of the score.
Did you change anything as the game went along to try to help Chaz Green as he was giving up a record?
We did things we try to help as a unit. Obviously, we're not going to just leave somebody out, I guess, to drop for the most part. And as I said, we're not going to point fingers and say it's Chaz. It's whatever it is, but we'll go back and we'll look. And as I said, I probably could have got the ball out faster sometimes. So we'll go back and we'll go look at it and get better from it.
I know you're talking about next man up, but if you don't have Zeke and then you lose Tyron and you lose Sham, how tough it is for you guys to overcome those 3 guys and the importance of those 3 guys in the team?
We trust in the guys that we have. We have confidence in all 60 guys we have on our team, and coming from me, I trust the people in the top, I guess, that put those players in that position. So I trust them. I trust the players. I trust that the next man up is going to do his job, and that's just this organization. So we, as I said, we're not going to lose confidence off of one game. We're just going to keep pushing and get better.
I mean, regardless of who's at blame, we're not trying to pin blame on people, but 7 points, I've been on a run of 5-6 games where you're scoring about 30. I mean, how frustrating is that to deal with just overall?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. I mean, as a quarterback, as a powerful offense as we are, I mean, we want to score points. And to only come out with 7 points, that pretty much the defense deserves credit for as much as anything of putting us down there. It wasn't up to our standard, our expectations, and we've got to go back and get back to work.
You have 3 games down in 12 days, including Philly coming up on Sunday. It doesn't seem to get any easier. How do you guys get over this and move on quickly?
Yeah, I mean, we don't want it to get easier. We're excited for this challenge. We're excited for what's coming ahead of us. As you said, the 3 games and whatever days it is. We're going to take each game separately, take each day within that week in preparation, one day at a time, and we're going to get better. That's what we do in this organization and this team, and we're going to make sure we do that going forward.
What was Jason's message after the game, too?
I mean, it was a team loss. Simple as that. I mean, last week and other weeks we said it was a team win. This was a team loss.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there's Dak Prescott as the Cowboys fall 27-7. He refused to put it on the offensive line, being the good leader that he is. Chaz Green, tonight's left tackle, was in the locker room taking responsibility, though, and saying, this one is on me. And obviously a lot of you would agree. But if you want to talk more, give expanded thoughts, 877-881-1053. Gavin Dawson and Jesse Hawley here in your Dallas studios. We'll have our Mike Fisher with Jerry Jones after a quick break. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Hi, everybody. It's Dak Prescott, quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Today's a perfect day to fill up with some new Campbell's Chunky Max soup. Chunky Max is loaded with more meat than you can handle, a lot more. We're talking 40% more than a comparable Chunky soup. Plus, Chunky Max is made with premium meats like Angus beef, grilled bison, and smoked turkey. Go on, fill up with new Campbell's Chunky Max soup. Available now at your local grocery store. Campbell's Chunky Soup, official soup sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
Thomas Alexander and Forster. Think differently. Reject boundaries. Win. Thomas Alexander and Forster. Feel.
Are you shopping for fine wine, craft beer, or premium liquor? If so, be sure to stop by your neighborhood Goody Goody. With low prices and an incredible selection, our friendly beverage specialist can help you find the right drink for any occasion. Goody Goody. Toast of the town. Discover low prices, expert service, and grand selection on all your favorite wine, beer, and liquor at one of 14 DFW area locations. Find your nearest store at goodygoody.com. That's goodygoody.com.
Anything can be better. That's what they say. But can anything really be better? What about the unbeatable cleaning power of Texaco with Techron? Can you beat unbeatable? Well, Texaco can. Because now, Texaco with Techron has even more cleaning power. So it's even better at cleaning up performance-robbing deposits left by low-quality gas. And cleaning up deposits brings back lost gas mileage. So your car or truck can perform its best. You can't beat that. Texaco with Techron. Driving performance.
For over 30 years, the Dallas-based law firm of Bell Nunnally has been casting a big shadow for our clients. As one of the largest law firms in the region, Bell Nunnally is proud to include commercial litigation, mergers and acquisitions, real estate, intellectual property, and white-collar criminal defense in our extensive list of practices. Go to bellnunnally.com to learn more. That's Bell, Nunnally.com. Think big. Talk to Bell Nunnally today.
Hey fans, as the Cowboys look to bring home another victory,
thrown in the end zone, wide open, touchdown!
Crown Royal would like to remind you to bring yourselves home safely.
All right, guys, I'm back. So, yeah, man, the season's not over with. It's just one of those things where you just still got to understand once we get past the Eagles, I can say for surely, I don't know what we're going to look like facing the Eagles, but it's going to be one of those uphill battles from here if we don't have a full roster, if we don't have a full game plan together. The good thing is it's a home game, so hopefully those two that's playing on the left side can step it up, or if Tyron can get back out there and just somehow wing it. And I remember seeing somebody posted 1% or 2% Tyron is better than a Chaz Green, basically. Hopefully that could be the scenario. But we all right. We just need to just get things fixed. Shout out to those in the chat box. Brian, don't fold up like a weak tent. You know, it's gonna be one of those things where you got to put all the posters together. Shannon Sharp is laughing. Yeah, that's from I think Sharky's Girls. Yeah, you know, he's laughing, but you know, he still's not. He was saying that he's faster than Jason Witten, right? So hopefully he can race Jason Witten one day. Call Doug Free. Well, I don't know if Doug Free, you talking about, you know, guaranteed salaries at this point, so I don't think you should do that much of a reach. Like I was saying, is to kick number 79 to the right tackle and move Lyle Collins to the left side. You know, maybe that would be a better look for us. And it goes to show you that the first few weeks that Chaz Green was the issue on that offensive line. He wasn't creating no type of pressure. I don't know where his head at this year. So it's one of those things where it's, he just we need to figure out Byron Bell is ready. Somebody out there need to get out there. Outside of Joe Hayden broke his leg. That's from Brian Bradford. Yeah, these players get old, man. Things happen, you know. But it's just one of those things. And Dez is washed. That's from Dexter. Yeah, you can say that, you know. But this off season, we got so many compensatory picks. We got so many other things that we can figure out ways to help this team out. And I hope that we can find a way, somehow, some way to just play this free agency. I know we haven't been doing that lately, but this team is so close. I think we're like 1 or 2 players away, you know, 1 or 2 players away from making this team just this all dynamic team. But somehow, some way, we got to figure out a way to pick that player up.
Too much of Mr. Jones versus Mr. Blank? Are we making exactly the right amount out of it?
Well, I think Mr. Blank got the upper hand tonight, and I think that's a good place to put it. We're playing a Super Bowl team, and they took us to the woodshed tonight.
All right, there's our Mike Fisher with Jerry Jones and a little conversation there in the end, a little reference to a potential lawsuit from Jerry Jones against his partners in the NFL, including Arthur Blank, who sits on the compensation committee for the commissioner, Roger Goodell. But as far as the football field and what happened in the game, the wide 9 technique can be very hit or miss. We've seen defenses employ the wide 9 technique and look inept. But when it's going well and it's hitting and you have an offensive line that apparently is unprepared for it or ill-equipped in the talent department, it can be a mess. What do you think about Jerry Jones pointing towards the scheme and what Atlanta was doing with their alignment on their front 4 in order to create additional havoc for the Cowboys, Jesse?
Yeah, I think that's good coaching. I think you see coming to the game that you weren't going to have your best tackle in there, and so they wanted to widen those guys out and really expose those guys on the end. And it worked for them. And the Cowboys didn't adjust to it, and they kept coming in waves, and you saw the end result of it, that they had 6 sacks by one guy on the quarterback.
A lot of interesting storylines to talk about here with you tonight on the Cowboys postgame show, and we'll continue to do that. Here's Mike on line 5 up there in Denton. How you doing tonight, Mike?
Hey, I'm good, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
You betcha.
Okay, so a couple things real quick. Is it me or is anybody else noticing just the lack of overall effort play in and play out from Orlando Scandrick? I just feel like he's not finishing plays. Second, 3 out of the 4 most important players on this Cowboys football team didn't play tonight. Is there any way that we can win a game with those 3 or all 4 even out? And then lastly, is Jason Garrett still the guy in town? You hear him in his presser talk about it's the next guy up. That just didn't work and didn't happen tonight. I'll hang up and let y'all guys talk.
All right, appreciate that. Yeah, as far as the next guy up, I think there's a limitation to it. Orlando Scandrick stuff, we can talk about that, and then the idea is this team done if they don't get healthy? Can they win games with this personnel available? We'll jump into all 3 of those topics, and maybe we'll do some right now with voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, who's calling in now from Atlanta before they jump on the team flight and get on back to DFW. Hey, Brad, thanks for calling in. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine, Gavin. Thank you. How are you doing?
Doing good, thank you. Let's pick up on that topic that the caller raised there. If they don't get Tyron and Lee back, do you think it could be better, or would this be normal for the Cowboys with this personnel available?
They need those guys. I don't say that they can't ever win a game, and it would depend on how. Tyron, you knew. I think they knew most of the week, and I think that they were surprised by the way Chaz Green struggled. The people that I talked to before the game indicated they thought he had a good week of practice, and his body of work would tell you that in the past when he played pretty well. He did not play well today, and that's why they substituted him out at the end. And I don't think he'll play that poorly every week, but clearly they need Tyron. And Lee, something happens to their defense when they don't have Sean Lee. Now, again, that happened in the middle of the game. And if it turned out that way, that they would have some time to work on it, and maybe make some different. Justin Durant, for instance, would help in that circumstance, but he was inactive today because they didn't think that they were going to need him. But they're not as good without Lee. I wouldn't say they couldn't win a game at all. A lot of these games occur in little bubbles. They're happen today, and then it can be different next week. Now, next week they're playing arguably the best team in the league, certainly in the conference next week. But, it's a division team that they know, and they've got time to do some patchwork and try to fix it up. But I wouldn't say that they're anywhere near as good without those guys.
Brad, were you shocked as I was that they didn't administer help to Chaz Green earlier in the game?
A little surprised. Those plays didn't all happen one after the other. They kind of sprinkled them in, but I was a little surprised that they didn't try to maybe help out a little bit over there.
How about Dak getting rid of the ball quicker? Do you think that storyline is apropos here?
I saw that Claiborne was quoted as saying that he thought Dak held onto the ball longer than he normally did. I would have to go back and look at it. I can only tell you, Gavin, that as the game was going on, that wasn't a feeling I had. I didn't have the feeling that he was holding it. In fact, I thought he held it in the last couple of weeks a little bit longer. I think he was, when a guy's running for his life, and he's looking for someone to get open, and, Dez wasn't 100%. Williams was absolutely not 100% running on a bad ankle. I think when you're scrambling for your life and you're looking for somebody to get open, you may tend to hold it a little bit longer than you want to, but I didn't have the feeling as the game was unfolding that him holding the ball was the storyline for those sacks.
Voice of the Cowboys joining us, Brad Sham, on the postgame show. Brad, I don't know if you saw it or not yet, but after the game, coming off the field, Orlando Scandrick and Jason Garrett kind of had, more so Orlando had some words for Jason Garrett coming off the field. Did you hear anything more about that near the locker room?
No, Jess, first I've heard of it, and I actually don't get into the locker room because Babe Laufenberg and I are doing the post-game show on television right outside the locker room, and I had not heard anything about that, so I can't help you with that one.
Appreciate your time as always, Brad. Have a great flight.
Okay, fellas. See you next week.
All right, man. There he goes, Brad Sham with us after each and every Cowboys game. We'll hear from Mickey Spagnola as well. Tony Dungy, Football Night in America pregame with the quote, Jason Garrett and the Cowboys coaches never adjusted. That's his line. So the coaching staff is going to be taking quite a bit of heat. That's very apparent from the phone calls we've taken already, and we'll continue to take them at 877-881-1053. Gavin Dawson and Jesse Hawley here. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Yes, indeed. So, yeah, they didn't make no adjustments from what I saw. I didn't see any adjustment that was made. All I saw was pretty much more of the same. But to their defense, with Sean Lee not out there, what kind of adjustment can you make, with the limited amount of linebackers they have out there on the field? Now, as far as the offensive side, could they kick the tight end to the left side? Yeah. Could they had a fullback to be predominantly on that left side? Yes, but we just didn't see that. Maybe when I look at the all 22 film, we can see something different. But it's just one of those things. Whereas if this team can't block the left side and keep the Dak Prescott on his feet, then we're going to be in a horrible situation. But it's just one of those things where we got to figure out something far as this offense to just get the ball. I can see a shootout, but if we just playing slow and lethargic like this, then I don't have no news, no nothing else to say, But outside of the fact that we just dropped the ball on our coaching staff, and we dropped the ball with the adjustments. But we'll see next game. We'll see how everything folds coming to the fold. But it's just one of those things, guys. But let's see what else they're talking about here.
All. I bring the D, she brings the fence.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
The average career of a professional football player is a little over 3 years. The average career of Acme Brick, however, is much longer. In fact, Acme Brick are guaranteed to last 100 years. That's because Acme Brick are tough, durable, and can take hits. Yep, Acme is a real winner. So, do you think football teams should draft Acme Brick instead of players? You do? And that's why you don't own a professional football team. To get Acme Brick quality, look for the Acme name.
Trips go out to the left. Prescott's in the gun on 3rd and 13 from his own 22. Back to throw, rushed, flushed out, sacked at the 15-yard line. Do I even need to say it?
No. It was another Adrian Claiborne, wasn't it? Holy cow. He was good coming off that right defensive end over the left tackle tonight for the Atlanta Falcons as they beat the Cowboys 27-7 there in Atlanta. Gavin Dawson and Jesse Hawley. We're going to catch up with Mickey in just a second. Mickey Spagnola is on his way to the team bus. Segment's brought to you by Susan G. Komen. Learn how the Dallas Cowboys and Susan G. Komen are fighting to end breast cancer. Visit Komen.org/IPromise. Yeah, a lot of momentum building around this Cowboys coaching staff. I guess my take would be, even if they had made adjustments, I could not imagine them winning. It was full on. There was leakage in multiple spots. And while they might have been giant holes with water flowing through the dam, you only have 10 fingers, right? So you could plug 10 holes. And I think it was just maybe it was a poor evaluation on which holes had the highest priority. But we'll see. We'll see what happens next week. I think Brad Sham just had a great point, as these games, They tend to happen in bubbles. Like last week, the Kansas City Chiefs. What do they look like? They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't make big plays. They couldn't play defense. They couldn't do anything last week. And we obviously know that's not the real Kansas City Chiefs. Were these the real Cowboys if Lee and Smith are out? Would be my top question that I want to know about. And I don't know. Are we going to get an answer to that in Philadelphia or against Philadelphia next week? Probably not. Because that's a really, really good team. It could get uncomfortable again next week. But I am keeping my fingers crossed that Tyron Smith and Sean Lee can be healthy enough. And let's go to Atlanta and catch up with Mickey Spagnola, where we can get the latest. How you doing, Mick?
I'm good. How are you guys tonight?
Doing good. Just wondering about Sean Lee's hammy. Have you heard anything down there about how bad it was to make him miss the rest of the game?
Yeah, it was obviously bad enough to miss the rest of the game. I heard he didn't strain it as bad as he did it the time before, so there seemed to be hope that it would be a shorter term to play without him. And I think you saw once again how the defense falters without Sean Lee on the field. Up until that point, the Cowboys were sort of hanging in there. And then when he went out, they got a stop. It was 7-3, and then they didn't stop him again until there was 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So Sean Lee is awfully important to the defense, and guess what? Tyron Smith's awfully important to the offense because the Cowboys, you were talking about plugging holes. They certainly didn't plug that hole at left tackle. Adrian Claiborne, who's a good pass rusher, but I don't know that he's good enough to have a season's worth of sacks in one game, ends up with 6 sacks. That's a Cowboys opponent record, single-game record for most sacks by an opponent. And the 8 sacks that the Falcons did collect in the game were the most the Cowboys have given up since they set a single-game record in 1991 when Philadelphia sacked Troy Aikman 11 times. If you can't protect your quarterback,
and you're having penalties on offense, you're just behind the chains far too many times, and you just can't function. So the Cowboys are going to have to figure out what to do. You know, we're sitting there going, will they go to Byron Bell? Well, they finally did in the last couple possessions, and even he got beat by Claiborne. So they've got some troubles there. They're going to have to adjust their offense and not think that they can leave that guy out there with getting help nearly every play. You're going to have to put a tight end there. They did start chipping with a running back. They did start chipping with a tight end. As a matter of fact, a couple times they moved their protections way to the left and to help Green out, and had Cooper going out there. Claiborne was lining up wide to the outside, and he just wasn't fast enough to get there. So they said, okay, let's turn Cooper's protection out to the left also. He can protect from the inside. And Chaz Green still got beat to the outside. So not a good day for him, and certainly wasn't how he played last year when he started 2 games for Tyron Smith, and the Cowboys were able to win both of those games.
Mick, not knowing what Tyron Smith's timeline is for his groin injury, who do you think the Cowboys will go to next week? Will they give it another shot with Chaz Green and maybe work a scheme of better protection, or are they scrapping that all together and say, hey, we're going to try our chances with Byron Bell?
Well, let's put it this way. They certainly didn't have much confidence in Byron Bell to start with, and he was a veteran guy, and I don't know that he did significantly better when he was out there. I think you're going to have to adjust your offense and not, think, okay, next man up. It sounds very bold, but there was too many next man up in this game for the Cowboys to be able to pull out the victory. So, number one, they're going to have to figure out what to do with their protection and their game plan. One of the things I think they wanted to do is get the ball out quick. Well, it was hard to get the ball out quick when guys weren't open, and he was getting hit so fast. It wasn't even like he had a chance. So they're going to have to figure something out quick. Otherwise, they're going to be in trouble if Tyron Smith can't get back out there. And they got to figure out something if Sean Lee's going to miss the game. And then on top of that, they lost Scandrick for a while, got his hand stepped on, and it was his good hand. So now you got all the pups out there trying to cover a Pro Bowl quarterback, and their receivers are awfully fast. And then on top of that, Scandrick gets back, and Jeff Heath goes out in concussion protocol and is ruled out of the game and can't play, and you don't know how soon he'll be back. So they were losing guy after guy after guy in this game, and you started off with losing guys. And on top of that, you don't have your kicker. Dan Bailey makes that field goal, and maybe you feel better about yourself if you hit that field goal at that point. So a lot of Pro Bowl guys out of the lineup, and I don't care about next man up. The next man up ain't a Pro Bowler.
Do you any idea what Orlando was saying to Jason Garrett there at the end of the fourth?
I didn't see that. I was coming down probably. I think did that take place like when they were done at the end of the game, or
just 45 seconds to go or so.
Yeah, I didn't have a television as I was walking down, so Jason was asked about it, and he chose to say, we had a conversation, and I'll keep that between us. So that's kind of where that ended.
Do coaches deserve blame? To what extent, Mick? That's going to be about half the phone calls we get coming after the coaching staff. How would you respond to that?
Well, unless they could have gotten Ray Nitschke out there, to help out with Sean Lee missing. Look, this is the same thing happened when Sean Lee was missing last time, right? Jalen Smith's not ready for this. I know a lot of people, think, it's a great story, and it is a great story, but he's not ready to play middle linebacker on a full-time basis. On a spot duty, he's pretty darn good. And obviously they got to come up with a better plan, a better offensive scheme to help out. They ran the ball. They started running the ball in the second half a little bit better. But, the end of the first half, who was the leading rusher?
Dak
It was Dak Prescott, right? You can't have that. So they were having trouble up front, and that's the way Atlanta was going to play it. I think I told you guys they love playing an 8-man front, stacking the line of scrimmage and play a single safety high. And you got to be able to beat them. But if you can't block them in a passing situation, it's really hard to throw them out of that stuff. They moved down, and if you think about it, the touchdown they scored it was kind of a layup, right? It came after the turnover.
21-yard
I think they only
drive.
had to drive, 21 yards, something like that?
And they had a 3rd and 10 inside there.
Yeah, and the other big play in the game, I thought, was and they knew they had to do something. They needed to pull something off, and they executed the fake punt, and we're going to have a first down and kind of going in, and then they get a penalty on it. And, Bryce Butler said, yeah, the guy can hit me, and I wasn't going to let him tackle me, so I pushed back. And unfortunately, he can't do that because it's a pass play. That guy doesn't know it's a pass play, so they don't call interference on that guy for trying to tackle him. But had they got that, I think they're going down, and they're going to make it, I think, 14-3, if I remember correctly, and you feel better about yourself. But you ended up having to punt there. They did get it down to the 2-yard line, and they stopped them. But that was the last stop, like I said, until there was 4 minutes left in the game. So I don't know, short of finding somebody else, then, maybe you keep Durant and you give him a shot to play at linebacker and shuffle the deck. But, yeah, it's easy to blame the coaches. And, they didn't make excuses. And as Jason Garrett said after the game, we didn't protect well, and we got behind the chains, and then when we did do something, we had too many penalties, and you got further behind the chains. So it just kind of snowballed. Because if you think about it, it was only 17-7 going into the fourth quarter, if I remember correctly. If you score one touchdown, you're back in the ball game, but they just couldn't do it. They couldn't protect the quarterback well enough.
Appreciate you as always, Mick, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good flight.
Absolutely. All right, see you guys.
There he goes, Mickey Spagnola with us after and before every Cowboys game right here on the Cowboys Radio Network. Okay, we're going to hear from the guy who's the GOAT, and he's got pretty close to all-time GOAT status.
Michael Jordan?
Which is hard to do in one game. No, the bad kind of GOAT, not the greatest of all time, but, the GOAT of the defeat.
Gotcha.
Chaz Green with our Mike Fisher. When we return, you'll have some locker room interviews here for you. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
They say you can't judge a book by its cover, but customers will judge a product by its packaging. Choose Pollock for corrugated packaging that's custom designed for your products. We'll design and produce packaging and displays to protect your products, convey your brand, boost your sales, and meet your budget. Since 1918, Pollock has been a trusted...
And everything will work out in its favor. But that's been my time, guys. I really thank you guys for tuning in and watching the show and things of that nature. But hey, we will bounce back. Just stay tuned with us. Cowboys Nation all day. We don't die. We just, as I say, multiply. People jumping on when we win it, but don't jump off when we lose. That's just the bottom line, guys. So this is how we got to roll with it. We in it to win it, right? Got to be in it to win it. Got to be in it to do it. I'm going to just give a few shout outs to everybody that's in the chat box. Juan and Don, shout out to you. Sharky's girl, shout out to you too as well. And Brian and Woodamain and Devian, James, and who else in the house? Quante 6. Yeah, appreciate you, man. I try to take care. And thank everybody for tuning in. But, hey, this Melvin, shout out to you too as well. You guys go follow their pages, follow their channel, follow their content. You guys know how it goes from here. It's just one of those things. But we're going to bounce back, man. We're not flat yet.